What's up, everybody? Jordan Stewart here from Vover. Thanks so much for tapping into the Vover original show. Just a reminder that if you want to drop your opinions about the episode or respond to the host and guests with your voice, go and download the Vover app wherever you get your apps. Vover, voice over everything. Enjoyed the show.
What's up, everyone, and welcome to this Friday edition of Let's Talk Cards. I am your host, Frank Hrelja. Today, we go deep into the 2020 NBA rookie class. I tell you who I believe is a better investment between LaMelo Ball and Anthony Edwards. I think that's a really important conversation to talk about. And after that, I want to talk about some other players in this class who I do think are good investments, and I want to tell you a few players that I would be staying away from. So I think before we talk about any of the other rookies in this class, I think I need to give you my take on Anthony Edwards and LaMelo Ball because I really haven't talked about them much because their card prices have been hot. We've seen more releases come out, so a lot of their singles have been going down. So I do think that this is the time to be talking about them 7 weeks until the season starts. And if I had to pick one of these two players, I'm going to invest in Anthony Edwards every single time. And I have two main reasons for this. The first reason is that Anthony Edwards cards are noticeably cheaper. Edwards cards usually sell for about 45 to 60% of what LaMelo Ball cards sell for. We look at their base prisms, ungraded. LaMelo's goes for about 50. Anthony Edwards is $20. If we look at possibly their most desired insert card, Kaboom, the PSA 9 for both of these guys did sell in the last month. Anthony Edwards last sold for about $1,300. And if we look at LaMelo, it's over a $3,000 card. So LaMelo Ball cards are more expensive. And I think that the big gap between their card prices is a huge mistake because I think their rookie seasons were a lot closer than people realize. I understand LaMelo won Rookie of the Year. I understand that the Hornets made the postseason and the Timberwolves didn't. But team success cannot be the number one factor you look at. Because if that was the case, you would be investing in Kyle Kuzma and not Jason Tatum. It also would have meant that you wouldn't have invested into Devin Booker until literally like 2 months ago. So investing in a player simply on team success is proven to just not be true. And if you look at the Hornets and say, oh, they were a playoff team, so you could invest in Melo, they have a great future, but Anthony Edwards doesn't, that just isn't true. And LaMelo did miss time this season. So we do have the ability to quantify how the Hornets played with LaMelo on the floor and when he wasn't. Because remember, late in the season, LaMelo fractured his wrist. We thought his season was done. We look at the Hornets in that period of time when LaMelo Ball did not play. They were 10-11, slightly below 500. And I bet a lot of you guys would assume that when LaMelo was on the floor that the Hornets were noticeably better. They weren't. They were 23-28 in the games that LaMelo played. Now, obviously, he was a great rookie. I'm not making the case that LaMelo Ball isn't a good basketball player. But I believe that the insane talent that we saw in that 2018 rookie class with Luka being a superstar player, and then we have guys like Trae Young underneath him as that second-tier star, and then we look at 2019 and we see the exact same thing with Zion Williamson being the superstar generational talent, and then right behind him you see a guy like Ja Morant. And I think when we look at this 2020 class, people are just assuming that LaMelo and Anthony Edwards fall in the same line. LaMelo Ball is going to be the superstar. He won Rookie of the Year. Everything's going to run through him. He was on a playoff team. And then we look at the second player, Anthony Edwards. He's a good scorer, but he'll be the second best player. That's simply just faulty logic because LaMelo did not have the rookie season that Zion had or Luka had. So for you just to assume that his prices should be super expensive like those guys, I don't buy it. I don't believe that he deserves a massive premium over the other players in the class. Anthony Edwards averaged over 19 points per game this season. And what makes me really excited about Anthony Edwards is that his efficiency wasn't even great. So Anthony Edwards had an effective field goal percentage of 48%. But if you watch that second half of the season and you watched how he developed as a scorer, he has been showing all the tools that he could be an elite scorer. And I know a lot of people like to say, well, LaMelo Ball's a point guard. The game runs through him. But the card market favors Zion over Ja Morant because even though Ja Morant handles the ball, Zion Williamson is a far more dominant scorer. So I don't think Edwards is going to score like him. But LaMelo is a pass-first point guard. And LaMelo's probably only going to score 18, 19 points per game this season, maybe average 7, 8 assists, which is a really good stat line for a second-year player. But Anthony Edwards, I believe, is going to be scoring 23, 24 points per game. And on top of that, even though he won't be the point guard getting assists, Edwards has the ability to get crazy highlight dunks. He had the dunk of the year last year. He shows flashes of looking like a young Russell Westbrook. So even though he doesn't handle the ball, I think he makes up for it with the fact that he can get poster dunks and LaMelo Ball can't. It's also important to note that I understand that LaMelo Ball has a big individual brand. He's been a celebrity since he was a freshman in high school. But Anthony Edwards on his own is building up his own brand. People really think he's a funny guy. He has amazing quotes. He's hilarious when he talks to the media. Supposedly he grew from 6'4" to 6'6", and there's jokes being made that he said, oh, don't let me grow to 6'6" or I'm going to be the next Michael Jordan. And for a while, I personally underrated Anthony Edwards' personality. I didn't think he was going to be that collectible because who wants to collect a player on the Timberwolves? They've been bad forever. But I do think that I was wrong on that. I started to realize I was wrong the last couple months of the season into the summer. And I do believe that Anthony Edwards does have a personality, which is really good for collectors to like. And the second main point that I want to make for you guys is I wouldn't necessarily assume that Anthony Edwards' team is going to be worse than LaMelo Ball's team long term. You can say, oh, the Hornets made the postseason this year. It's also true that this Hornets team has a hard ceiling. When you guys like Gordon Hayward out there being star players for you, you're not a championship team. The Hornets are not close to competing for the East. So if you look in the Western Conference, say the Timberwolves aren't close to competing for a championship, yeah, that's true too. But they have more star talent. You have D'Angelo Russell, Anthony Edwards, Malik Beasley, Karl-Anthony Towns, and now there's rumors that Ben Simmons might come in. So I think it's possible that Minnesota as a team right now and heading into next season is going to be better than the Hornets. It's just true that the Hornets play in the Eastern Conference and it's easier to win games. There's more bad teams. The conference isn't as deep. Overall, I just believe that there's faulty logic about LaMelo Ball being so much better than Anthony Edwards. I think Anthony Edwards has a higher ceiling as a player. I think Anthony Edwards could grow into being one of the top scorers in the league. LaMelo Ball can't do that. He's going to be an assist guy, but if he's not scoring in the mid-20s and his counterparts are, I think some people are going to stop throwing money at him the same way. So my thought process on LaMelo versus Anthony Edwards is super simple. I like Edwards cards more because he's cheaper, and I don't believe that he's a worse player than LaMelo. And on top of that, looking into the future, there's nothing that tells me that LaMelo Ball's ceiling is higher. I believe Anthony Edwards has the ability to be an elite scorer, and I don't think LaMelo is. I think just assuming that his playmaking, facilitating is going to automatically make up for that, I'm not too sure of that. Now, let's look beyond the two studs at the top of the class because I want to look at some other players and I want to go quickly about if I would invest in them or if I wouldn't. So a couple guys that I wouldn't invest in. The first being Immanuel Quickley. Now, I like the Knicks as a team. I believe that they are developing. I think that they're going to be in the postseason. Unfortunately, they brought in Evan Fournier, they brought in Kemba, you still have RJ Barrett, you have Julius Randle, you brought back Derrick Rose. There's just not going to be enough shots for Immanuel Quickley to get tons of touches, and a Quickley scoring under 15 points per game with a strong 2021 NBA rookie class. People are going to be looking off of his cards, unfortunately. Another 2020 rookie that I would not invest in is Tyrese Halliburton. It's for similar logic. I just don't think he's going to get the point production that people are going to want to see. It's De'Aaron Fox's team, and people don't need to throw a ton of money at De'Aaron Fox's cards, and he averaged 25 a game last season. De'Aaron Fox should be an all-star this season. It's tougher to be an all-star because the West is so deep at the guard spot, but De'Aaron Fox is a star. They just brought in Davion Mitchell. You still have Marvin Bagley who's going to be taking shots. They also have Buddy Hield still. There's a lot of mouths to feed in Sacramento. We know the Kings aren't going to be a great team. So if they're not in the postseason, and I don't know if he has a clear path to scoring 20 points per game, if you've pulled some nice Tyrese Halliburton cards, I would be selling it before the season starts. Now, looking outside of these two guys that I wouldn't invest in, if I did have to invest in a cheap 2020 rookie, it would be Tyrese Maxey. Now, there's been some rumors that when Ben Simmons leaves the Sixers, that Rich Paul is going to force Tyrese Maxey to leave too because he doesn't want any clutch sport clients playing on the Sixers. I don't believe that to be true. All I've been reading over the last few days says is that Tyrese Maxey wants to stay in Philly, and I like him because he is going to be playing on a really good team. Tyrese Maxey showed last season that he could score the ball at a super high level. Remember that game back in January where he scored 39 points? If Ben Simmons leaves the Sixers and they do not replace him with a superstar point guard, potentially they get a wing out of it or something like that, and Tyrese Maxey can get serious minutes, I would be excited to see what could come out of him. His cards are pretty cheap, which I like. Silver Prism rookie card, ungraded, selling for about $40. You could get numbered Prism cards for only $250. Blue Prism last sold for under $300. I think if you look at that kind of stuff, even the most high-end cards for him, we're talking about White Sparkle Prism. You could get that kind of stuff for $750 based on some of the most recent sales I saw. Tyrese Maxey cards. Now, if he doesn't produce this season, his cards still have room to go down. So it's not like he's a no-risk investment. You look at someone like Darius Garland. Tyrese Maxey sells for more than him right now. So I think you need to be clear that Tyrese Maxey cards are not cheap, but I think given the fact that he is in Philly, a team that's going to be at the top of the East, he's a player that could score the ball at a high level. He's a likable player. I think if Tyrese Maxey has some big games this season and if he has an increased role, I do believe that some of his cards do have room to go up. I think overall this 2020 rookie class is a weaker class than 2018 to 2019. I think we were spoiled with those 2 years. I think the 2021 class is deeper than this 2020 class. So just because someone is the second or third best player in this class does not mean that they should be selling for the same prices as the second or third best player in the 2018 or 2019 classes, because the trajectory of all these players is different. Every class is not the same. So I appreciate you listening to this Friday edition of Let's Talk Cards. I am your host, Frank Hrelja, and I'll be back again on Monday.